Welcome to Cozy Coven Chats with Jenny C. Bell, where we explore the journey of the witch. Hello, and welcome to another Cozy Coven Chat. I am your host, Jenny C. Bell, and this is for the week of January 25th, 2026. And before I talk about this week, I just want to say that next week, on the 1st, which is when the next podcast will come out, is a full moon in Leo. And so I wanted to give you that heads up. Full moon in Leo is all about self-expression and creativity. If you have a tarot deck, pull out the Strength card and just look at that lion, or pull out the Queen of Wands card and look at that card. It gives you a lot of good insight as to what is Leo energy. I am surrounded by Leos in my life. Best friends, mother, children, so much Leo energy. I'm surrounded by a pride of lions, honestly. And I love it. Love Leo energy. So I don't know if that's part of why I like Aquarius season so much, having that Leo connection, but I do really like it. So Leo energy coming in next week. So just wanted to put that out there before I forgot. This week, we have on January 26th, Neptune enters Aries for a 13-year cycle. So definitely check in your own chart where that's happening and what that means for you. Moon Omens recently put out a whole thing about the different signs and what this cycle will mean for them. But just check with whoever your trusted astrological resource is. And 13-year cycle. It's a long cycle. So think about that. And Neptune, is the water god. Totally think of Percy Jackson. Been watching those with my son. Both my kids read all of those books, Percy Jackson and all the spin-offs. And we've been watching the TV show, and it's so cool because they're almost 5 years apart for them to have something that they connect with. It's like Percy Jackson and Hunger Games. They're totally connected on those things, which is awesome. Okay, so this week from the Cosmic Creator Oracle deck, our card is the Eagle. And in the deck has lots of cycles and seasons, and it circles back on itself because of my belief that spirituality and healing is a spiral. And so the four elements, the card deck starts with the four elements, and then the cards continue to cycle back to them. So the eagle is connected to air. And so for the deck, it's when the eagle comes, it's bringing the animal medicine of air. And eagle says, soar high and change your perspective. And it's really cool. Rosemary created this card based off of a picture I took, which is really cool. We live near Northern California, really Northern California. And there's a place called Tule Lake. And every year, hundreds of bald eagles come there. They migrate there. Sometimes the lake is drained and it's pretty marshy because it's been used for farmland, and we're not going to get into that part. And sometimes it's not, and there's tons of swans and other birds for them to eat. And they have this little wood dirt trail for you to drive on, and there's posts set up. And we got to sit and watch an eagle just tear apart like a loon. It was really cool. They're everywhere. There's juvenile ones who look more like hawks because they're brown. If you think that eagles are majestic, they are. They really are. We love in this house birds of prey. One of my favorite things I ever did for my husband was there was a hawk sanctuary that did falconry in California near San Diego, and I got him. I took him there for his birthday, and he got to be a falconer for a day, and he worked with this hawk named Hayduke, and, got to wear the glove and do the whole thing. And we brought my daughter, I was pregnant at the time. We brought my daughter, she was 4 or 5. And, she's always been so patient and still. Abnormally so for a kid. It's kind of the opposite of my son, which is really cool and fun. So patient that one of my favorite things, it's in her baby book, is she was told by a Tibetan Buddhist monk that she was so patient. He could see the patience in her soul. And she was like a child. I don't know. I'm not a naturally patient person, so I just really admire that about her. But anyway, she was so well behaved that they put like some kind of meat on her shoe, and the hawk came and ate off her shoe. And so we have like pictures of that, and like it was cool of them to involve her, but it was because her energy was so good that they could do that. So we love birds of prey, constantly looking for them, have had really cool experiences with hawks and falcons and eagles. And so I think I love all birds. I feed my birds all the time. Speaking of birds of prey, though, that would go out before we had all these cats in the neighborhood. I would feed the birds on the ground. Now we have special feeders and stuff, and I squirt cats to get out of my yard and whatever. I'm nice-ish, but I'm like, get out because this is a bird sanctuary. And I went out one day in the winter, and I could see the scrubs and stellar jays in the tree. So I'm feeding, and like everyone is completely still. There's no leaves on the tree, so I can really see all the birds. It's like silent and it's still, and they're all staring at me. And I'm like, it's so weird because normally I feed them and they're like, hey lady, and they're like screaming because they're jays. They're super loud and they're swooping down on me. One time when I had COVID, I wasn't out there, and like 3 days later when I finally came out, one of the jays like brushed my head with his wing. Like he was so excited to see me. They peek in my window if I'm late. Like they're just so nosy. They're super smart. So anyway, nobody's talking to me. No one's coming. And I'm looking in the tree, and it was like that old Sesame Street thing where it's like one of these is not like the other, you know? There was like a whole little song that went with that, and I'm not going to sing on here. And I'm looking at the tree, and I'm seeing all these bird eyes like staring at me, and I'm like, wait a minute. There was literally a falcon in the tree. He was just like, I'm going to wait this out. Like, one of you is going to go try to eat that, and I'm going to eat you. And it was a wild. Like, I'm like, this is like truly like a documentary unfolding in my suburban yard. So really, really fun. So anyway, back to eagle. Soar high and change your perspective. The eagle is also associated with El Morye, who's an ascended master, which is more new agey. Archangel Michael, who is my homeboy. And lots of deities. Like lots of deities are associated with birds of prey and eagle in certain Native American indigenous beliefs. Eagle was the closest to the creator because he seemingly soared like into the sun, like soared so high into the sky that he must be connected to Father Sky and Grandfather Sun, because who else can go that high? And he was like considered a messenger because he fly so high, he could bring back messages to the earth. So eagles are super smart. They have intelligence beyond, I think, what we would imagine. Birds in general are really smart. And whenever eagle comes in, it means to change your perspective, right? Take the eagle eye perspective. So if there's something, a matter weighing on your heart, your mind at this time, take another perspective by either asking somebody else or pretending to be somebody else. And this sounds kind of crazy, but it actually is helpful. So you could, if you have like a question that you can't decide an answer to, or a problem that you're trying to solve, write it down and then think of 5 people you would ask advice of. They could be people you actually know, that living, dead, doesn't matter. And write down the answer you think they would tell you. So it could be like your mom, your grandma, Oprah, Princess Diana, and Bridget. It could be like whoever. And then you write down what you think they would tell you. And then by the end of the exercise, I bet you'll have an answer. So soar high, change your perspective. If you see a bird of prey this week, take it as a double sign, right? Like you got eagle. And now if you see an eagle or a hawk or whatever's native near you, there's an important message there for you. Yeah, absolutely love eagles. Okay, so this week, we're getting to the end of January, and something I started, and it's not too late. I got the Llewellyn, God, I can't remember the name of it. It's a wall calendar, and in the wall calendar, there's spells for the different months. And so for January, it was creating 12 candles that you're going to burn on the first of the month. And it could be the new moon or full moon too. Like, it doesn't really matter. But it was this idea of preparing candles ahead of time so that when the first of the month comes, if it doesn't land on a day when you have energy or doesn't land on a day when you're off work, whatever, you already have the thing prepared. And so I just want to talk about that. So winter is a really good time to prepare for future you. I always say I'm like preparing for future Jenny. So if you have time and you have energy, prepare some candles, right? You could prepare some for protection or prosperity or luck. Label them. I use tealights for this, and I put them in a jar and I label them. And then it's like, okay, these are my first of the month candles, and I have them all the way until December. Or they're my new moon candles, or these are my prosperity candles, and I'm ready to go. Like anytime I want to do a prosperity spell. Because the thing is when you have the flow and the intention, it just grows stronger. That's my belief. It's sitting there in this jar. I put crystals and bay leaves on my first of the month one in the jar. And so it's just sitting there absorbing the energy until I use them. And this is the same idea. Like, so for instance, in December, I took my daughter to a really fun class. I've just been trying new things, right? It's part of branching out for me and trying, like I tried crochet. In December, I tried candle making. So we went to this place called The Drift. It's a really cool store in our community that is all local artisan made things. And they had this woman there who had this beautiful German accent, and she's a preschool teacher. And she had beeswax that she got from a local bee farmer, and her husband and her niece were there. And they helped us make candles, beautiful beeswax taper candles that all we did was start with a wick with no weight, and we dipped them in the wax over and over again until they became candles. They had hot cocoa for us, and it took us about 3 hours because there's quite a bit of us, and there's like a cooling process. We learned how to roll them and shape them. It smelled heavenly. I love the way beeswax candles smell. And beeswax, I also learned, purifies the air and helps with allergies. So it's like such a win-win. So we made 5 candles. And so my first 2 candles, I lit that night and let burn all the way until the beginning of January. And I would light them every night at dinner. And the family loved it. Like my kids, my husband's like, I've never really eaten consistently by candlelight. And our dining room is in front of a fireplace. So it just was like giving Beauty and the Beast. It was giving tavern. Just like really nice atmosphere. And the other 2 candles I'm saving for summer solstice because we made them on the 20th. So there was a winter solstice class. I was like, I'm going to burn them starting in the summer solstice to tie together the winter and the summer solstice, tie together energy. So something to think about is when you have energy, you have time, is preparing things for yourself, such as candles, such as herbal blends, right? Think about creating your own tea blends for drinking and stuff, but also creating like a harmony and luck blend that you use for candles or use for pouches or you put in someone's gift that you give them. You can think about making sprays, making Florida water, making different essential oil blend sprays, making sachets, dream pillows, right? Winter, for me, I always have a little extra time because my son isn't doing a sport. My daughter is, she's cheering, but she's a little, like, I don't need to be there watching her cheer like I do with soccer. And so there's, like, extra time for me. It's cozy. Everybody wants to be home earlier a lot of times in the winter. And so when you have that extra time and you're feeling crafty, think about what are some spell tools or spell ingredients that you could create. It could be simmer pot, go-to bags, or you can put them in jars. It's like, okay, this is a simmer pot for cleansing. This one is for good luck, and everything's in the jar. And then when you're tired and it's a full moon or a new moon or a Sabbath, and you're like, I really don't have the energy for this, past you created this stuff for that. And it's only sat and got stronger. So I just, think about that. Think about doing things for your spells and creating things for your rituals that aren't the day of. That's how we can celebrate Imbolc. Like right now, you could be creating things for Imbolc. You can be making a Bridget's cross. You could be preparing candles for Imbolc. You could be drying oranges for your altar. Like you can think, it's almost like working backwards. And you get this way from years of being a witch, right? Like I've been a witch for a long time now, so I have like a lot of ingredients and a lot of supplies. But if you're new, how you get there is by doing what I'm suggesting, right? When you have time, energy, and resources, you create stuff for later, right? So something to think about. Okay, so for this week, some journal questions. How has the first month of the year been for you? So this is a 1 year. 2026 is a numerology 1. It's a magician year, right? So if we're looking at the tarot, we're looking at the magician. You might want to pull all the 1 cards from the tarot, or pull a magician card and look at it. So it's a 1 year, it's a 1 month, right? January is the first month. What has that been like for you? Has it set any kind of tone for you? Reflect on that. Also, if you haven't done a year ahead reading, like for yourself, I would do that. Like now is probably good energy to do that. Okay, so how has the month been for you? Second thing, what are some mending or preparing that you could do this winter? And the next one is Imbolc is coming up, right? So Imbolc is next week. What are your Imbolc plans? And so I usually end with the journal questions, but I realized I didn't really talk about Imbolc very much with you. So Imbolc is also known as Candlemas, and it's a celebration between winter and spring, and it's the return of light. And where it originated in more of like the Celtic area, this was like first milk. So they called it Imbolc because it was like the time when the ewes would have first milk, because there's more mild temperature there. And so this was early spring. And so depending on where you live, it's probably not early spring for you. It's like dead of winter for a lot of us. For me, I know spring is on its way because I start to see like my crocuses and my daffodils are starting to like come through the dirt, but not blooming. And so we're not in that more temperate climate, we're not really having early spring. We're more like looking at it as in between winter and spring is on its way. So it represents hope. It represents the return of light. It represents the sun getting stronger. It's very deeply connected with the goddess turned Saint Bridget. Absolutely love Bridget. Several of us have been called to work with her in our coven. If you've been called to connect with her, I highly recommend it. Very loving, fierce energy. Like loving, fierce, forgiving. I turn to her personally for creativity. There's spells and rituals connected with her in my book, Spirit Crystals. And I have meditations in our coven that connect with her too. She's just amazing. She's just this... There's a part of her that's like this fierce warrior. There's a part of her that's a saint connected with nuns. There's a part of her connected with wells, but she's also connected with fire. Like she's just got so much going on for her. You want to look up maybe Bridget's Cross, and you might want to create your own, a triskel as well. Something I did last year for Imbolc is I decided, because really like after Christmas, there's not a whole lot of holiday stuff going on. And we're not really big into Valentine's Day. So I decided to treat Imbolc like an actual like family holiday. And I made like a special menu. I did like a soup from one of my Kitchen Witch books that was like a Bridget soup. I think it had red chard in it or something that was like for her hair. There was like a part of it. I made an Imbolc tea from the Tea Witch's Grimoire. I made a cake with, it was like a floral tasting cake. I think it had lavender syrup, and I had wine because I did dry January, so it was like my first time having wine. It was just like a really nice family meal, and that's how I decided to celebrate it. So there's no wrong way ever on how you want to celebrate, but Imbolc is coming up, so you want to look at it, you want to read about it, I have like if you go on my website, you can find my Pinterest. I have like a whole Pinterest board for each one of the Sabbats, but I have a lot on Imbolc on there. And at the very least, light a red candle if you can, and welcome in warmth and passion and fire into your life, and let it kind of burn away all that no longer serves you. I'm actually excited because I'll be in the 2027 Sabbats Almanac from Llewellyn. I was in the 2026, and I talked about Beltane. This next one I'll be talking about Imbolc, because I just really loved celebrating it so much that I was like, I want to write about this. Like, this just feels right to me. So definitely, if you're not familiar with the goddess Bridget, also known as Saint Bridget, look her up. Look her up. There's good books dedicated to her. There's meditations, there's music, there's so much in her honor. It's really quite beautiful and such a great energy. And she really will connect with anybody. I've not heard anybody turned down by her. She's really, really beautiful. And there's lots of good songs for her as well. I have playlists for every one of the Sabbats on my Spotify too. Another good resource, at the very least, if you're really busy and just listening to the music. But yeah, Imbolc is coming up. So I hope you celebrate it. I hope you tune in, and I hope you have a good week. Blessed be. As always, thank you for listening. Please subscribe and share with a friend. And be on the lookout for my books, Spirit Crystals, Discover Your Crystal Guide for Healing and Empowerment, and Divergent Witchcraft, an inclusive approach to making magic. And if you want to connect with me more, go to jennycbell.com, JennyCbell.com, to learn about our coven, to learn how to follow me on Substack, and also how to get a reading from me. Blessed be witches.